Hello, friends. Hi. Hi, it's nice to see you. I feel like it's been an age, even though it's only been a week. I don't know. I'm feeling energized today. I'm feeling hype. I'm feeling ready, you know? I just feel some energy today. Which is kind of unusual for me. I've been very exhausted the last couple of weeks. I don't know what it has been, but I'm feeling good today. I have coffee. That might be part of the answer. I have the unlimited power, indeed, the absolute unlimited power. Fueled by the dark side, apparently. So yeah. Today, we are going to be working on some GM prep stuff. I don't expect it's going to take us a whole lot of time. We're doing, kind of our regular hour of prep. And the plan is to talk about the specifics of our first game. Because the idea behind doing all of these GM streams was that we were going to lay track in front of the players as things happened. So I don't want to pre-plan too much that goes on. I mean, there's some stuff you have to pre-plan, like where X or Y thing is, or how X or Y thing is going to shake out, or what this NPC is up to, or what have you. But, because we plan week to week, and we do a stream every week that's, what's going to happen, how are we doing, kind of a thing. I want to make sure that we're using that time in an effective way. And I think the smartest thing to do for today, knowing that our first episode of Season 2, nerves, is tomorrow, then I think the important thing today is that we make sure that we know what's going to happen in Session 1. What events are they going to hit, if you know what I mean. Because our last season started with them jet-setting off into the stars, and honestly, there's nothing that would chase them from Vode, because Zala got everything she wanted. She got the amulet. She got the amulet. There's nobody to chase them, other than maybe our Chiss compatriot who got beamed with a speeder, but he needs to recover. So I don't think he'll be chasing them right away, but he's definitely going to be on the hunt. You know what I mean? Definitely going to be on the hunt. But, no Utico units are just going to be, bombing ass after them. It just doesn't make any sense. So it's definitely not going to be sort of like a chase scene. They've gotten everything they want. They're letting their enemies leave, basically, to do whatever. So, here's my thought. Because I want to make sure that we get a little bit of spaceship action in there. And I'm thinking that we have them either come across an ambush of, pirate vessels or be ambushed by pirate vessels, as the first sort of event. And obviously the first event, the very, very first event, is going to be Groggo Plop emerging from their hidey hole and being like, I'm hanging out at your ship, and don't, I just hope it's cool, basically. So there will be, a little bit of a social situation to begin with, because I don't want to leave Quinn just, fucking sitting there. One of the things I hate the most when you introduce new players or new characters into RPGs, right, is making someone sit there for an hour while you do your preliminary whatever, your scene or your whatever, right?
Hi Elf, you brilliantly created.
I probably should have turned this off.
Do not deny your destiny. Your feelings betray you. You know your awesomeness is true.
Thank you, Vigorous and Terabang. I should probably have turned off the text-to-speech for this because I'm recording it for YouTube, but I appreciate it. Thank you. 22 months sub. Let's see. What else can I talk about? Yeah, so I was saying, I really hate I really hate when a player character or a player in general has to sit around and just like fucking twiddle their thumbs at the table while the real main characters or whatever from the last season or from wherever, whenever you introduce someone new, get about doing their thing. This applies to me with like guests, with like, you know, like whatever, that sort of stuff. Sat for an hour before being introduced for a guest gig. Me too, Salty Ginger. I've done one where I sat for an hour and a half before being introduced, and then in the half an hour that I was around, I died. And then I sat for another hour and a half. So, you know, I've been in that place. So I never want to do that to anybody who's at my table. That's like a GM rule for me. I want to get you into the action as fast as possible, right? So I want Groggle Plop to be the first thing that we do, which is like Groggle Plop being fucking, you know, found out basically. I mean, Omni knows all about their ship, and they're gonna find a life form hiding on the ship pretty quick. The only reason they didn't already is because they had to boost out of there, right? What I'm thinking is maybe we do pirates raiding a civilian prisoner transport. And it's like Ezra-Tali liberating a bunch of, like, you know, people who've been arrested by the local, like, Vodian sector authority, like the civilian authority of the Vodian sector, who are being shipped to Urdal as prisoners. And they could engage that either way. You know what I mean? Like, if they want to help the prison escort, or if they want to, like, get in on it with the pirates. Hell, if they want to watch and see what happens. And then deal with it after the fact, you know. That's something. But what it does is it creates this like branch where it could be like Urdal related stuff or Promenade related stuff, depending on like how they engage with it. They're definitely not going to be allowed to go to Urdal off the hop, but it introduces the idea of there being like a planetary prison somewhere. Am I rolling obligations this episode? Yes, definitely I am. Obligations are very important, and I think that each of them has the potential to really fuck up the intro, which is fantastic. I love the possibilities with all of our obligations. And we'll need to talk to Mabel, or Andrew more specifically, about how their obligation might change. In fact, we can talk to everybody about how their obligation might change, because I feel like that would be allowed at this point. Things have like sort of changed a little bit. If they want to like adjust obligations, then that's fine. You know, maybe Mabel's obligation becomes more sort of like Imperial faction focused. If they're like, you know, being recognized as an Imperial droid, that matters a little more off planet. Like, things can change. You know, there's a lot of possibilities, right? Some intro variants depending on if we hit an obligation could be cool. Yeah, I was just thinking that. So like, for instance, if we hit Mabel's obligation and it had to do with Kadag Torag, we could have like Imperial entanglements be the space engagement. If we hit Omnis, then like there's some Republic bounty hunters or something that come after the ship looking for like the person who stole it, because, you know, you can disable your you know, identification beacon or whatever, but bounty hunters, they have some specialized tech or what have you that'll allow them to identify things, or they could just talk their way out of it. It's possible. You know, if we roll Xyle's obligation again, the Chiss Hunter was not alone. And in fact, there are others waiting in space on the like vessel that they brought here from the Ascendancy, and like that, you know, that could be like an immediate issue as they leave the Vodian atmosphere. If we get the obligation of Groggle Plop, what was their obligation again? Oh my god, I can't remember off the top of my head. Their obligation was, I mean, I know like their motivation, but I can't remember what their obligation was. That's terrible. I should remember. It was a revenge obligation, but it was against Zala. I'm pretty sure, like against Utico in general. So that one I might have to come up with something creative about Groggle being like tracked or something. like generally, because they're an Utico employee and they've gone AWOL, and we'll have some entanglements probably in the future, not exactly, but like in the future, not immediately, but it what that does is it moves the clock up on like when they're gonna run into like Utico hit squads or what have you, like searching the galaxy. Yeah, he also had crew. Oh, it was the crew imprisoned by Utico. Yeah, that there's like a thing to go back to deal with, in the Utico jails. Yeah. Yep. You're correct. I could have looked at the character sheet and probably learned all of that, but that's something to remember. But so yeah, there are possible intro variations based on whether we roll an obligation or not. Let's just said Nazita does some pretty nasty things with their force users. Yeah. Force using Chiss in a bad way, bad place. But they don't know that Xyle has a connection to the Force. Even Xyle doesn't really understand their connection to the Force yet. And I'm hoping to introduce some more like mystically oriented characters to have them like interface with that. I was hoping for that to be guests when we first pitched the show and like have people come on and play like these, important characters or what have you. But the scope of things has kind of changed a little bit. Things have like moved around. I may do that still, but I had a co-host back then, so it was a little easier to manage. But if not, we can make up some great NPCs for them to deal with. Guess would still be cool. I agree. I just have less reach than I hoped. So like that's sort of like the general plan. Is I want there to be a space engagement right away. And I'm thinking we use some pirate vessels and an Erdal like prisoner transport, assuming that there's nothing obligation-wise that comes up, and have the party decide what they want to do about that, right? Etzertali does not like indentured servitude, and I imagine she has a similar scope on what do you have, like prisoners? I can imagine she's probably the kind of lady who'd be like, you could join me or you can keep going to prison, I guess. I feel like that's a pretty fair choice, like you can join. I'm here, I have a pirate ship, so that's gonna be, I think that's gonna be kind of the situation at hand, just to introduce some characters. And this is gonna be like a, they get an emergency signal or whatever from the prisoner transport. There's a beacon that they could like go to if they want to, like stating what is happening. But I have a feeling that they might ignore it, and if they do, then I'm not entirely sure how we direct. I mean, then we have them ambushed, and that's the easy part. We just have these hyperlanes be really, really hostile. Grogu plops out of hiding from the kick if space jumps followed swiftly by distress alarms, and maybe they get buzzed by some fighters or prison transport rushing past. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, Grogu's introduction could be short or it could be long, depending on sort of like how that roleplay goes. It could be an extra stowaway with Grogu. Yeah, we could definitely put another person on the ship, just like multiple stowaways. That would be a great way to get them like directed to the Promenade for sure. It's like this like cut a deal situation. Yeah, no, I kind of like that. If we had like, someone with Grogu who is a member of the Promenade factions, who was like, I don't know, trapped on Vode after their Shroom Shiner ship like got pulled in by the jungle, and they made a deal that like they'd figure out how to disable the like life form sensors on the ship if Grogu could like get them through Utico security to the landing pad or what have you. I like this idea. Let's do this. I like this. And then we can have them be like, you should help the pirates, you know what I mean? Kind of thing. Could also just let the party wander around. Do we necessarily need to guide them to the promenade? We do not. The party can go wherever it is they please in the sector, you know? And we can give them tips and tricks, so to speak, to get to places that may have like plot information, but I want them to I don't want to guide them too heavily either. Their Jawa friends stowed away as well. But the other stowaway is Bousak, who somehow managed to escape the Yutiko capturing of the area, and it's like, I got some friends, we can go see them, and like we can plan from there. You're all in as much trouble as I am, theoretically. I knew no one would check this piece of junk. Also, I disabled your like ship scanner when I came on board. It was super easy. You really should have plugged that shit in better. But Usopp and that droid they saved. Yeah, we'll populate their ship with a couple of NPCs. You know, we'll have RST3, Usopp, and Gargle Plop on the ship. So they've got Usopp would make a great ship NPC. Oh, the protocol droid from the Sunderer? Yes. No, good. Better idea. Better idea than RST3. He's a big boy and also probably fighting with Yutiko. Bousok would make a great ship NPC in like a video game. You know, when you always have like a merchant nearby you can like sell your crap to or whatever. You know, he's just like the guy that's always there and just like helps the party out with whatever it is. They just have contacts in all the places, and you know they have some plot related dialogue that could drive you in a direction, but that like mostly they're just a non-playable character that hangs around with the party. You know, there's always one or two, and I think Bousok would be a good choice for sure, because he's kind of not their best friend, but you know, he has some stuff. Then again, RST3 going to the Promenade would be cool as a scrap hive hook. Oh, like, ever since they took their restraining bolt off, they've had, like, a weird signal in the back of their brain or something, and they want to, like, go to where it is to try and, like, fully figure out what this, like, distraction is, that's been broadcasting over, like, a wide frequency, to droids of like Imperial mark and make, that have like a lack of purpose, something like that would be cool. Yeah. Or Bousok just knows that's a good place for droids. Also a good choice. Yes. Bousok just being like, they won't fuck with you there. They don't fuck with anybody. I think that's also a good. I do want to use RST3 again, because I think he was just like a big baby. You know what I mean? He's just like this security droid who's tough but has no idea what he's doing. I think having him there is a good move, and I'm definitely gonna use him. We're gonna use okay. So, people on the ship when it takes off. RST3, Bousok, and Groggle Plop, and the party. That's it. There's 3 people. There are 3 people that they know are on the ship, and 3 people that are just like hidden. But I imagine Bousok makes his introduction pretty clear right away. You know, it's like, hey, so I'm here, and you know, I got a plan as to where we can go. Gives me an easy way to like direct the party as well a little bit. You know what I mean? An easy way to like sort of like bring them in a direction. And if they know what the Promenade is, in theory, then having them interact with like pirates in space may be easier to sort of like give them context. You know what I mean? I feel like that's probably a good way to go. Yeah, and I mean we have the Erdal stuff and we have Bezel 6 as well, but I'm hoping to get heist on Bezel 6 basically from the Promenade. You know what I mean? Like, you're looking for these things. I know where another one is. You know, it's like sort of thing when they find out the amulets are being used by the or one of the amulets in pieces is being used by the leading pirate council. Having Tanker Tombo be like, I know where you can find another one of these, but I also know that they have like millions of credits worth of stuff that I want to steal. So you can have the amulet, but you gotta get me the specialized supercomputer data pad or something that's been out of print for 50 years from a planet that exploded, or the other various like important artifacts that might be cool and good in a museum. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. I was planning to plan the first session here. Idea, the thing that Omni failed to fix the first time they tried to fix the ship was the detect people on the ship piece. Yeah. Yeah. What pocket full of Sunderer goodies did Bousok get away with? Oh, Bousok's got a sack full of technical components. If they go to Bezel 6 first, you can really lay on that rich a-hole vibes, make everything too expensive so that doing a heist later has a personal edge to it. Definitely true. It is another option, and I think I will present them with a variety of options. Though I think Erdal is probably out for a first visit unless Mabel looks at the recording that we came up with last time we did the Kataktorak horror recording, because it mentions Erdal, which I think would be a great thing to open with for Mabel. Definitely looking at the holo recording, as well as if we then do the prison transport versus pirates in space. You end up with a possible branch there where like Mabel knows that Erdal is important in some way, and then you could possibly like go with the pirates or go to Erdal, which I think is interesting. Though with Erdal, I think their introduction would mostly be there are a lot of closed doors, and like you can enter the sort of like introductory area of the prison, where visitors would go if they ever got any visitors, or where people are marshaled to surrender themselves and so forth, the like lobby of the prison. But I really don't think you're going to be able to get much further than that on your first visit without some kind of like connection. But you could go there first, in the same way that like you could go to a planet you haven't really unlocked first. Hexagolans roaming frozen wastes is all they find. Yeah, it's not a hospitable place. Though there is like life, so you could find the prison settlement probably. The thing is, the prison on the prison on Erdal is the front, right? Like it is a civilian-run prison that is secretly controlled by the Empire in the background through like use of bribes, basically. Like the prison itself is just a for-profit corporate prison, basically. The little extra bells and whistles buried very deep. If they wanted to do a whole like let's all get arrested and find out what's happening thing, I would be so down for that, like that might be a great way to get in there. But it's a little difficult, you know what I mean? It's just a little bit of a bumps and scrapes sort of a way to do it. And I doubt that will be happening in the first session, Yeah, so I think like various introductions with Groggoplop and with our NPCs that we have on the ship. I think RST3 is gonna make a resurgence, and our boy Bouzak will have affixed a mobile like battery swap out generator to RST3 in a bit of a scrap heap, like fixer upper maneuver, so that RST3 can work as the official bodyguard of our little tiny Jawa friend. And RST3 has found that purpose, but that they're going to the Promenade because Bouzak knows people there, and also RST3 will not be bothered there. Seems good, you know. And I have some lore on the Promenade regarding droids changing chassis if it's relevant later. Definitely, it's I love the deep. Look, we have Scrap 01 here hosting with me. So does Groggo know Bouzak? I think that they have had dealings. They must have had dealings because Bouzak works with people who are not necessarily on Yutiko's side, and Groggo has been like sort of not like a former Yutiko employee who's been sort of working, on their own on Vode for a while, and I feel like people who work on their own on Vode mostly know Bouzak. Like Bouzak is a person to know. So they probably know each other, and I will, yeah, Bouzak sold Groggo his brass knuckles. Exactly. There you go, that kind of stuff. Like, this is where you get your supplies. Yeah, exactly. And I think they've sort of, like, made an agreement to do this thing together, right? And I can inform Quinn of all that stuff when we're doing introductions. To be like, this guy is whatever, and, yeah, so on. But yeah, I definitely think I want to do the pirates ambushing a prison transport because I can introduce the Salty Ginger's crew with Ezratali at the head. Comms over to the new vessel arriving on the scene or what have you with an angry like, you better stay the fuck away. That's sort of a message, and then like try and negotiate that, like, you better not help these assholes, kind of a thing. And then fill in important details with Bouzak as necessary, and either way, we'll probably have a little bit of ship combat based on that, either with the escorts or with the pirates, unless they just like entirely ignore it, but that could happen. Then arriving at the Promenade is going to be a lot of introduction. You know what I mean? Like, if they go to the Promenade, there's going to be a lot of like describing the place, like trying to get the vibe of the like area, like describing the locations of the Promenade, like bringing everything sort of together in like a cohesive vision, and just like kind of like bringing it in line, Box text writing stream. I'm pretty sure I could just I feel like I can describe from my head like what we're dealing with, like that the Promenade itself is a space station made of the scrap hulls of several capital ships that you can identify pieces of welded together in a mishmash of like sort of mangled parts that have been constantly repaired or welded, basically. Do you want a map, by the way? That might be a good idea, like a basic map of the place. It's interesting. Something to consider. I don't know if I need one, but maybe. I mean, the Promenade is pretty big. I mean, we're talking 6 capital ships big. Like, it's not a place we can map out in its entirety, that's for sure. But it might be cool. hadn't thought about that. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of like trying to bring that vibe in line, and like, getting everybody. Maybe there are TIE X-wing hybrid uglies that patrol around the promenade and escort ships to their landing base. Oh yeah, like a patrol craft outside of like that are all like these scrap ships, yeah, that are made from the whatever parts they can get together from the various ships that have like crashed around here. The other thing I was gonna add is that the area around the promenade is full of scrap and like asteroid pieces and like debris in general because of the like sort of gravitational pull of a large object in space. I mean, it's not that big, but it's one of those things where it's like small debris always gathers around large debris, especially in like crashed fields and so forth. And that it's difficult to navigate without specific, direction. Because of all the like moving parts, like floating debris and what have you, and that these escort ships are maybe like the most efficient maneuverers of this particular field. I like that butt prints. Yeah, some droids that like Scrappo 1 have been melded with the starfighters. I really like that. They're just like a droid, but like a ship. I imagine they usually are equipped with like more than one tool as well. It's like they're like starfighter chassis, but they have like, I don't know, like big industrial gripper claws on them to like move debris or like get pieces from the star field, or that they have like jury-rigged weaponry that's like potentially much larger from like the capital ships or what have you, that like these big sort of like conversions, where they've been basically like improved and like specialized to do the thing that they need to do by the scrap hive. I hope I'm not stepping on any of the stuff you've already written, but that, my brain immediately goes there for that kind of thing. And yeah, we get to show off some like Xyle piloting skills. We can make some rolls, and there won't be any like massively real danger because obviously like they can be escorted if that's what they want. I think the landing dock of the promenade, the little like hangar area, is full of like the most eclectic collection of ships that you can think of. There's anything from like almost capital ship-sized corvette, pirate, frigate stuff, all the way down to like single-person fighters run by bounty hunters, and they're all different like colors and styles and fleet and what have you. And it's like clear that some of them belong to the same like group. They have like the same sort of flags or the same sort of decals on them, or and some of them are like clearly unique, like this kind of thing where it's just like it is just like a smorgasbord, of various like weird ships coming and going from the promenade. It's like very ununiform, and then like the patronage of the place is like very eclectically alien. There's a lot of human, members, but that's because humans are the most numerous thing in the galaxy, basically. But there are a lot more aliens here than there were on Vode, for example. There are a lot more like from all over the galaxy kinds of aliens, Star Wars wise. We got shark people, we got a bunch of Duros, we got like probably some insectoid, Keelix style race hive minders, we've got Dathomiri, as we stated. We've got a whole bunch of like, just like a whole bunch of stuff, right? Like I can't go through every Star Wars race. There are about 1 million. Did some lore on non-pirates living on the promenade. Cool. I will make sure to have a look at that. Let me go to my Desperate Gamble ideas section. This is where things are usually at. And yeah, I appreciate that, Bud Prince. So step on stuff I write all you want. Yeah, like, there may be moments where I have to, I have to, even though there is lore already written or, like, suggested, that I just, like, make stuff up on the fly, or step on stuff that has already been written or change things for convenience. It's just part and parcel of the whole gig. As master of my destiny. But yeah, I mean, we've got the Diamond Sabac parlor that we can introduce. We've got a couple of other locations that were suggested in the the ideas. Unoriginal posted like the galleries, like a shooting range set up in one of the defunct hangars, like run by a cool aged warrior monk. We've got like Balloon's Alcohol Exchange, which is like a booze factory / like purchasing area and bar. They've got any kind of alcohol you want, but mostly if it's stuff that they've made themselves. Everything I write is suggestion and conjecture based on suggestions. I mean, I love it. We've got lots of cool like ideas for places. We've got all kinds of good stuff, and like introducing that stuff as we kind of like walk through the promenade and like get people, get people sort of introduced to the space and like change the vibe a little bit, because like Vode was sort of like authoritarian, clean, quote unquote, you know what I mean? And on the inside, and then wild and fungal on the outside. I want the Promenade to have that feeling of like a gritty pirate space station. It's like Tortuga for space. It's like shit is going crazy in every corner, but it's the kind of crazy that is enforced by this set of like unspoken rules that you can't break. You know what I mean? And that if you do, you will be in trouble with an authority. You'll be in trouble with an authority that you don't really understand and that doesn't really have authority, but that does through like the power of them existing. You know what I mean? It's that whole pirates code kind of deal, where like you can fuck around, but if you fuck around too much, you're gonna find out, right? Like that kind of stuff. The whole like don't mess with the droids, for example, being like a thing that people don't do. Because you get in trouble because the droids like keep everything repaired and we don't have to like build the fucking space station ourselves, Valerian, except it doesn't suck. Yeah, well, that's the kind of vibe. I mean, I'm definitely gonna do the sort of like what do you call it? Tortuga in space as like a vibe. Another touchstone for the Promenade is the defunct gate from Cowboy Bebop and Kowloon Walled City. Yeah, those kinds of things. That's the kind of vibe I want. And what I'm trying to decide with the Promenade is like how crowded is it? Like if I were to describe the populated areas of the Promenade, I'm imagining it's pretty close quarters. Like it's potentially pickpocket city. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of the amount you have to, like, move by other people or, like, squeeze through places or like, people have set up, impromptu stalls or whatever in, like, weird positions and, like, blocks traffic a little bit. I'm imagining it as being, like, fairly crowded, like Blade Runner Street Market crowded. Yeah, exactly. In some places. And then in some places it's completely fucking empty. Because these are places like that don't have gravity generators or there's no oxygen, or that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, living quarters are very coffin motel, I imagine. Yeah, very like pod hotel kind of stuff where it's like a sweet ass wall of like, movable pods that you climb into to sleep, that kind of thing. Yeah, it just sounds like a really cool place to be honest. We should have a pickpocket chase / conflict soon after they arrive. Easy way to give a tour, and an easy way for them to like have to hang around if somebody like steals their fucking credit chips from out of Omni's bag or something. Like, well, now you're gonna want to hang around and find that kid who disappeared into that vent system or whatever that you can't fit into. To get your shit back, that kind of thing. Or like, who do we go to report this, you know? Who's the authority here that can help us with this crime that has happened to us soon after arriving, you know? That kind of thing. Steals the keys to the ship, yeah. Just like steals Omni's like satchel or whatever that has like their slicing tools in it or their their like data pad or whatever. I'm picking Omni because Omni's the one who has the most stuff that's most likely to be stolen from, and they look like the biggest dupe of the group, you know, like in terms of the people in our group. Omni is the person that if I were a thief, I would steal from. But it would be a good way to like introduce the sort of like situation as it stands, you know, in that place. But yeah, like describing the promenade itself is part of like, I'm trying to make sure I've got the vibe right, and I think we're in the right zone. We're in a Tortuga gate, like defunct gate, Kowloon Walled City. Yeah, like these are all good like sort of touchstones for like the vibe that we're going for. We're going for like a sci-fi space station, like quote unquote lawless, crowded space station. Omni getting suckered into a guess which cup is under the ball. The ball is under game, or getting duped by the hangar transit authority. It's just like 3 goons who just dupe people they think they can get away with duping who dock in the promenade. There's a lot of like scummy stuff, like quote unquote scummy stuff that we can like bring up as like, are you streetwise enough to realize you're getting suckered here, or like what kind of situation you're in, you know, that sort of stuff. I think that's potentially pretty good. And yeah, the idea of like showing some respect for our like, you know, our droid brethren around here, you know, like a bunch of tough pirates, yeah, like stepping aside to let a crowd of gonk droids through, I think is what Chaotic Bastard suggested earlier. Like, don't get in their way and like just let them do what they're doing. You know, RST3 probably gets, yeah, like a lot of space. Even Mabel probably gets like a fair amount more space than the others, you know? Thing is, nothing stops them from suckering back. Exactly. It's one of those things where it's like, if I show you that nobody here cares if you cheat people, are you gonna cheat people? You know, are you gonna try and do that stuff? Like that kind of thing. It's a very interesting theory. Yeah. Let's add a couple more handouts. Maybe the crew sees people getting suckered, then the people doing the suckering come to the next and stop when they see Mabel. Yeah, stuff like that. Let's add a couple more of those places that I was mentioning from our Discord into the Promenade like locations section, just so I have quick reference if I need it. On original posters, locations like, yeah, the gallery. I like the gallery. A shooting range. For example. It's definitely a good way to go. It's the kind of thing this place would have, you know, like, as well as the like fighting pits, you're gonna have like places for, yeah, practicing your quick draw laser shooting and stuff. Like that just seems like a kind of a thing that people around here would get into. So we'll save that. Yeah, shooting range set up in the hangar of one of the larger ships. It's now part of the Promenade, run by the aged warrior monk Tasunga. The gallery is used as a training area for local gunslingers and is somewhere to settle disputes between pirates without spilling blood via various challenges. As Tang or Tombo once said, shooting correct doesn't mean you're correct, but it sure helps. I mean, that's so good. Is Tasunga human? on original poster. Like, you say aging warrior monk. I'm interested in a little more on Tefsunga if you have it. I would love to add that. And we will add Balloon's alcohol exchange as well, because I like the idea of like a booze factory / store set up here. Wrote a little blurb on the wiki for R1CO -TA, a weapons dealer droid that can easily be repurposed. Definitely I can use Ricotta. Yep. I can use Ricotta as like a vendor. Maybe R1CO-TA is somebody that Bousok knows as like a vendor in the area. And I imagine they sell a bunch of weapons that are actually just different weapons, like welded together or like edited, and like some of it is really like unstable in terms of the stuff that they sell. You know, like the power packs from like a wrong brand of rifle are like jury rigged to work in an E11 or what have you, that kind of stuff. It could be humans. I want to leave a lot of freedom with that. Could be Feline. I might either Feline. Feline are awesome and definitely have that warrior monk vibe. While they have lucrative business producing most of the Promenade's booze in their factory, the Gan Balloon is less interested by money than making a history of the different alcohols throughout the galaxy. In consequence, they've set up a stand on the Promenade's market where pirates and travelers can exchange their rare, weird, or otherwise from faraway alcohols for another of the Gan's extensive collection, usually after a period of passionate but friendly negotiations. Yeah, it's pretty good. I like that. When you say Gan, do you mean Gand, or am I thinking of something different? Am I unfamiliar with what Gan is? Hang on. Let me just make entirely sure. Because there's Gand, which are the like gas mask guys, and I think there are also Gank, which are the like Nogri looking, sort of lizard man-y looking guys. But I'm not sure that Gan is anything. The three-eyed folk. Oh, am I missing something? I search Gan, I don't get anything. Is it Gant? Gant. No. Oh, you're thinking Gran. Yes, the Gran. Of course, the Gran. I know exactly what you're talking about now. It's Gran. It's the Gran. Yeah, the Gran are those, like, weird 3-eye stalks guys. Yeah, like these fellas. Hang on. Yeah. The Gran. It's these guys. Okay, we got it. We got there eventually. Star Wars Nerd Collective. Way to go. Star Wars is so huge. I was like, the Gank are a thing? The Gand are a thing? The Gran? Like, what? Star Wars? Why you gotta fuck with me like this, you know? Fuck. Man, in my 15-year-old, 16-year-old days, I'd have picked that out in a second. But now that I'm 30, I've forgotten too much of that detail. Typos, the Star Wars nerd's greatest weakness. Oh, it's all good on original poster. Absolutely no problem. I was just making sure we knew what we were talking about. You know what I mean? It's important that we know what we're doing. So for the Promenade, I have Balloon's Alcohol Exchange, the Gallery, the Rumble of the Cryptid, the Trash Compactor Arena, and the Diamond Sabak. The Diamond Sabak Parlor. As like various locations so far, which is a great number of things. I can definitely like add more that are sort of unlisted. Oh, the Bazaar. Yeah, I should add the Bazaar as well. Where do we have the Bazaar written up? Is there a write-up for the Bazaar in general? Have I missed it? Let's see here. I'm imagining it's all over the place. Yeah. It sure is. Search Bazaar. Lol. Yeah. Yeah, the Capital Ring Bazaar is what we're thinking of. All right. Well, let's add that to our locations. Capital Ring Bazaar. I'm just looking at all of the new or old selections. Yeah, there's like a big ring room, basically, like a big ring, and below it is where Scrappo 1 is housed, and there's some kind of like purpose for the aperture. I remember talking about this. There's some kind of purpose for the like ring aperture, but that nobody knows except the droids. Yeah, the hydroponic farm folks and the people who like manage the sort of like more neutral non-pirate side of the whole city, sort of like help manage the bazaar and like get things rolling there. Yeah, that's what I have in ideas for the bazaar, I think. Yeah, because in the write-up for Parapa, the bazaar is mentioned. Capital Ring Bazaar. Let's try and write something rather than trying to like fish through various like small pieces. The Capital Ring Bazaar is a section, an eclectic section of the Promenade, wherein a great deal of unregulated commerce happens. Let's say takes place. It's a eclectic section of the Promenade where a great deal of unregulated commerce takes place. The gravity in the area is strangely focused. So many of the stalls run up slopes or walls of the ring that look like they wouldn't be able to hold such an orientation, creating more space as a whole. It's entirely unknown. Actually, I'm not going to write this down. I'm not going to write that down. We'll keep that as a secret. I write it in my GM stuff. Like sigil. Yeah, it's got like a weird gravity. Like the ring area. Let's see what else we've got. It is a place of constant hustle. And is mostly regulated by the non-pirate authorities, who also run the hydroponics and various other mundane factors of civilian life, civilian/biological life on the promenade. I imagine, for instance, that our gran alcohol friend, Balloon, is probably a member of this, like, you know, this group of non-pirate sort of like, you know, serving the needs of the biological populace of the promenade, like, group. You know, they're not technically into the piracy / illegal aspects of, like, the things that people do, but that they serve those people as loyal customers, you know, like the shopkeepers in sort of like a union association. Exactly. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I really like that. So yeah, I was kind of thinking like Deadwood the TV show. I haven't seen Deadwood. I probably should, but I haven't seen it, so it's not a touchstone for me, unfortunately. But I know exactly what you're talking about, like in terms of the vibe. I think, like, in terms of describing the place, it's gonna be fairly easy to do. You know, like for that. In regards to, like, we have our touchstones, we know what we're looking for. I definitely think we may do some, like, broadcasts on, like, a bunch of... I imagine the place is full of neon and screens, because that's just what I imagine when I think close quarters, cobbled metal, you know, like, sort of things put together in a weird way. I imagine that with neon. That's just, like, the way my brain pivots for that kind of stuff. Neon and a little rust, you know. And I'm imagining a lot of screens, a lot of broadcasts, a lot of, like, news programs, a lot of, like, you know, random music videos or whatever playing in the back of stores or that kind of thing. And that'll be great for talking about, you know, like, for instance, like, broadcasts from Vode about, like, you know, the Utico plan to increase production, you know, or the, yeah, like, you know, Jander talking about a bunch of stuff that they hadn't, you know, like, glorious declarations of Utico's prosperity and stuff like that, you know, like, things that could, like, pull our friends back to, like, thinking about what they left behind on Vode and that kind of thing. Though I probably won't do that in the first session. I want them to get, like, acclimatized. They'll have an opportunity to meet Etzratali while she's doing her raid, but if they don't sort of engage with Etzra or, like, want to help her, they will meet her on the promenade, like, relatively quickly. I imagine the Salty Gingers are a crew that is fairly well respected, given they are one of the three sort of, like, pirate gangs that is at, like, the top of everything. And it would be difficult not to run into at least one member of their crew eventually wandering around. They're a small gang, but well respected, you know. I imagine they get a wide, not a wide berth, but a respectful, you know, sort of a introduction everywhere they go. We haven't talked about, what was her name? We haven't talked about Zazakel's crew very much, because the assumption is that Zazakel, who is our Dathamiri, you know, lady who is sort of, like, highest on the schema here in the pirate kingdom of the Promenade, other than Scrap 01, but nobody knows about Scrap 01. Scrap 01 is a secret. And she has her two Rancors, who are her, like, lieutenants or whatever. They're, like, sentient Rancors because they're Dathamiri Rancors. But we haven't spoken about her crew. Are her crew also Dathamiri? Or does she just, like, recruit from the, like, the toughest, meanest scum of the Promenade, so to speak, for her gang. Because I like to think like she's in charge, but that her crew and her enterprise, quote unquote, are like respectful of her mysticism, but eclectic in their distribution. Like if you got humans and Trandoshans and Wookiees and Duros and Faline and Gank and whatever the hell else that like work for her, as long as they're the toughest, meanest, fucking coolest people that she can get her hands on. There isn't enough of them for the pirate crew. I mean, there's always like you can always do a hand wave on original poster. It's always possible that there was a group that wasn't there, when that happened or whatever. It's easy to make a rare thing. But I agree with you in that I don't really want to make it another like uniform crew. I would rather have it be, like the local toughest of the tough. It's like a big deal to get the thumbs up to join Zazakel's personal enterprise. Yeah, the Mandalorians also got wrecked several times, but there's still plenty of them around. Maybe it's assumed if you're not part of another crew, it's assumed you're one of hers through the open door recruitment for Zaza. I think she probably keeps it closer than that. I don't think it's like, I think it's like a badge of fucking honor. You know what I mean? To be involved in her crew. She doesn't just take every lick, spittle, and thrall that comes through her door. And in fact, she's hardly involved. I think there's a lot of like, my trusted lieutenant runs this ship that he has on his own, but he runs it under my name, and I am here doing like mystic, Dathomiri magic stuff to assist them. But that like, I don't think she goes out all that much on her own to like do things unless it's super important. She's like a pirate admiral, you know what I mean, more than like a pirate captain. If you kind of get my drift. Like she's got her people to like run the actual crews that, go out and steal things on her own. Only if it's an incredibly important thing does she go by her, like, on her, with them on her own vessel. She probably has, like, a personal vessel that is crewed by her best people, and then, like, various captains that, like, sail under her flag, so to speak. Yeah, I think she's one of those people that's, like, unless she has a specific interest in you, you're better off not talking to her. She has a vicious reputation as a horrible person. Like, and she has 2 rancors who will do whatever she says and beat the shit out of you. Like that's the kind of person you kind of don't want to talk to unless you have a really, really good reason to walk through that door. Yeah, hates the Force just generally, and has a sweet throne and commands very large, aggressive pirate faction on the Promenade. That's what we wrote about her. Is there a possible coup in the making by her number 2 due to how much is in their name? Maybe, but I doubt it. I feel like she's the kind of person who would root out dissent pretty quickly. I'm giving her a lot of credit, but like there's an NPC write-up for Sasa. There is. If there wasn't when we wrote that small input. I will grab the NPC write-up. Sasa Kel. Yep, Dathomir is a Brack witch. She's able to use Force telekinesis as her magic, a power she used to rise to the status of Pirate Queen, commanding a formidable fleet of ships. blames the conflict between the light and dark side of the Force for the endless wars that plague the galaxy. She is not aware that her magic is indeed the Force, nor that the endless wars are what allow her to operate as a pirate with impunity. She doesn't care, however, and continues to blaze a path of plunder across the stars with her magic. She's 2 sentient rancors, her Dathomirian rancor companions, named Teve and Sreg. Both are armed and wield large meat cleaver-like blades, though it is a tradition of witches. She does not use the rancors as mounts when planetside. Because of the copious amount of suitors she receives as Pirate Queen, she's set up a series of tests of her own version of the Dathomirian selection to dissuade them. His trials were passed completely and accidentally by a smuggler turned shroom shriner, Bano Rod, when they were fleeing creditors. The two share a genuine affection for each other despite the accidental nature of their marriage. Bano is off in the Vodian wilderness making shroom shine for the tourists after crash landing. Zaza will reward anyone who confirms his location or safety. Yeah, Bano I will grab, but I'm gonna just copy paste this into our Zazakel section. I also realized I just misspelled this. There we go. Ba-ba-da-ba. Get everything in there run nice and tidy. Nice and tidy. There we go. Boop. And yeah, Bano Rod is a different NPC who I may use, I may not. I haven't decided. I only included that because Zaza was in Bono's original write-up. Yeah, yeah, I remember. Well, I like where we're at. I like where our situation is. I like our maneuvers currently. I think there will be a lot of like off the cuff in the first episode, depending on if we get an obligation. I also think that the potential for ship combat is very interesting. I don't know if our vessel actually has any weapons. That would be up to Dave to tell me. But if they do, then I have the ship combat stuff pretty down pat at this point. I did a review. And I'm pretty confident I can guide them on how to do an actual like starship combat. And introduce them to the promenade or like the general, surroundings, as well as a bunch of possible NPCs who I can give voice to if necessary. I think robbing them when they arrive in some way, like scamming them, is going to be part of the introduction. I also think that getting them somehow involved with one of the 3 major pirate factions is important, either Tangertombo or one of the other 2, either some of the people in our Dathomirian Witches crew or some people from Etzertali's Salty Gingers, ruffle them somehow in the promenade. And we have that conversation and how that goes. Yeah, and that's where we're at. I think that's the first session. I don't think there will be much more time than that in the first session. And next week we'll get to work on the next one. Yay! We're actually beginning the season 2. I'm very excited. Episode 1 of season 2 tomorrow at 1 p.m. PST, my friends, and that'll be here as well, and on Elf's channel, on the Elf channel. We will be here for the foreseeable future. We will be here. So if you're not following, Elf channel stuff for Desperate Gamble, you should be, because that's where it's going to be for the foreseeable future. The other thing is I'm confirmed that all the VODs are going to be uploaded on my personal channel. So if you're a VOD watcher and you happen to be able to catch this time or what have you, just know that the VODs will continue. It's just that they will be on my channel. They will not be on Roll20's channel. Yeah. Hype. What else? Yeah, so I want to be entirely perfectly clear. I know I said this the last time, but nothing behind the scenes has changed other than where we live. Roll20 is still like bankrolling this game, and just generally providing me with all the support I require to get it done. The only thing that's changed is where we live. So nothing else is different. So yeah, we'll begin session 1 tomorrow for our actual campaign. As of stuff that you can do right now, if you want to, you can follow me on Twitter at DistractedElf, or you can follow this channel here to know when I go live with other stuff and what have you. This is the place to be. And of course, I have to give Roll20 the sweet shout out. So I get to think about pirate Star Wars music vibes. I mean, Drummer Boy, yeah. I would love to hear some Promenade jams. That would be sweet. So yeah, I highly encourage that. Distorted didgeridoo incoming. The good stuff. But yeah, so Roll20. If you want to play virtual tabletop games with your friends, if they are at a vast distance or you are still in sweet panorama isolation, you can play your tabletop games with Roll20. Sign up today for a free account. www.roll20.net. It's pretty sweet. If you haven't already done it, you can do it. Definitely do, there's literally no downside. What else? I think that's it for now. I'm going to be asking the cast to suggest to me the artist that they want to use for the official character art for Roll20. I haven't gotten any new art for season 2 yet, so don't, our backgrounds are going to be a little bit Vode style while we figure that out. But that's the plan is I'm going to ask the cast who they want to do their art, and go from there. So hopefully we will have that at some point during season 2. I know I dropped the ball on it during season 1. Anyway, see you guys later. Have a good one. Thanks for joining me. Bye, friends.